Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean. Master of mankind, grant us strength.
If I had to sum up Darktide in 5 seconds, this would be it. Yeah, that seems about right. Shoutouts to Rufelmonger, he's a cool dude. Hi, I'm Tigress. If you've been watching most of my content, you know that I mostly play fighting games. But like most of you, I like playing things other than fighting games too. And today I'd like to talk to you about the recent Darktide beta that happened. If you're not familiar with the game, Darktide is a cooperative PvE shooter set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And if you're not familiar with the Warhammer 40k universe, it's a sci-fi setting where the Imperium of Man is ruled by a corrupt, bureaucratic, fascist church state. Unfortunately, this is probably the best case scenario for humans, because the alternative is being corrupted by the gods of chaos and mutating into these things. Yeah, pretty grim dark stuff. You're put in the shoes of a member of a penal legion, where you carry out your sentence either through completing your mission, or through your death. Let's just get this out of the way before I gush about how great the game is. It's not perfect. The beta is written with some UI bugs and a few glitches, but that's nothing a bit of polish won't fix. The biggest stain on an otherwise great beta, though, is the game's performance. I have a GTX 260 Ti, and I struggle to keep the game at a frame rate above 30. The game definitely has optimization issues. It's so bad that the game's actually slower when I play on lower graphics settings. Hopefully it'll be fixed by the game's launch. When the game does run though, boy is it a looker. Fatshark, the developers behind the game, are no strangers to the Warhammer franchise. Their previous game, Vermintide 2, captured the miasma and dreariness of the Warhammer fantasy universe. Being self-professed fans of the franchise, they definitely knew what they were doing when modeling and texturing all the rooms and creatures in the game. Walking around in the belly of the Hive City Tertium has an underlying sinister atmosphere to it. Whether or not the hordes of poxwalkers or traitor guardsmen are on your face, or in the shadows. One gripe I have is the readability is sometimes difficult, especially when the hordes start piling on, and even more so when it gets pitch dark. You can barely see anything at times, even with a flashlight. Pinging elite and special enemies in hordes helps a bit, but only by so much. Thankfully, the sound design in this game is pristine. Like most horde-style cooperative shooters, sound prompts help you pinpoint when a disabling enemy unit is in the area. You could hear the thunderous stomps of a mutant over 20 feet away, or even the eerie howl of a Chaos Hound in the distance, so you better be on your toes.
The Emperor provides ammunition, my friend!
Audio feedback from your firearms and blades is immaculate. From the revving of your chainsword to the blasts of your lasgun, hearing your weapons hit something with a satisfying thunk or slash or blast is an experience you need to hear to believe. The soundtrack is, as expected, dreary yet heart-pounding, as Jesper Kid returns from Vermintide 2 to create harrowing but exciting music for the game. It really helps hammer in the religious fervor of slaying heretics, mutants, and Xenos.
God Emperor guides your aim.
operative. Memory reboot.
What is keeping you? Free me!
Data flow resuming. No interruption.
Most of your moment-to-moment gameplay is a beautiful combination of satisfying shooting and visceral melee combat. Fat Shark already had an excellent melee system in their older games, and the visual feedback of your enemies flinching towards the direction of your blade swipes and hammer strikes is both rewarding and relays important information on whether or not your hits are landing. Integrating blocks and dodges and abilities into the mix also makes for an easy-to-learn, easy-to-master melee system. Having played Vermintide 2 for hundreds of hours beforehand, I was never in doubt that the melee combat would feel great. To complement hand-to-hand combat, Darktide's shooting mechanics aren't anything to be scoffed at either. Guns have a satisfying heft to them, and each shot you make gives a sense of weight and recoil that both make sense, and shows you firsthand how powerful each shot is. Even the lasgun, memed on by the 40k community as a flashlight, can show you how much actual damage it can deal as you pepper sizzling holes into your enemies at every trigger pull. A couple of advanced mechanics that were added to the game is suppression and forced melee combat. If you're caught in the open by a barrage of gunfire from trader guardsmen or scav gunners, you'll be put in a state of suppression, and the accuracy of your shots becomes erratic and unreliable. You either need to go into cover and hope your allies take care of whoever's pinning you down, or you have to rush them down and force them into melee combat. We'll come back to that in a bit. On the flip side, you can suppress your enemies yourself by shooting at them if they're caught out. If they survive, they'll go for cover and shoot inaccurate shots at you. It's a great mechanic that adds to teamwork, and it's cool that both you and your enemies can utilize it. If you're tired of squads of trader guardsmen shooting at you, you can simply rush them down while they're unaware of your presence, and force them to engage into melee combat with you. While still dangerous up close with their machetes and bayonets, you're definitely better off hacking them limb from limb, rather than them pinning you and your whole squad down with last fire. Both these mechanics are reminiscent of the Warhammer 40k tabletop game, and it tickles my nerdy heart how well they implemented these into Darktide. The Darktide beta was one of the most fun weekends I've had in recent memory. I'll be saving up for when the game actually launches on November 30th. While there's still a bunch of polishing that needs to be done for the game as a whole, it's clear to see that this gem in the rough has some beauty to it. I'm looking forward to having the game join the ever-growing list of great 40k video games. This video was a little different from what I usually make, but regardless, it's been fun doing this. If you want to support me, please consider subscribing, liking the video, maybe leave a comment to tell me why you did or didn't like this style or genre of video. If you really want to though, you could also help me by joining my Patreon. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.